Welcome back, and all I gotta say is the glory of Altman has returned to help us reach convergence, and now you can do that on the go. But how good is the experience, and will it ruin your convergence with the deck, the one true marker in our lives? I was surprised at how Dead Space handled on the Steam Deck, and so I wanted to do this performance guide and go over just how I got it to work at a decent setting that was visually pleasing to me, and I'm honestly shocked, and I really liked it in docked mode. Just the first thing, I've played Dead Space multiple times. I've had speed runs, LAN parties, just everything with this with my friends. Like we'd sometimes every other year play through all the Dead Space as fast as possible, or one of us would take it and we just all kind of play a different Dead Space at the same time and just have fun while we hung out in person, ate snacks, food, all that stuff. So when I heard that Dead Space was being remade, I shouted for joy for a few days. Honestly, I was ecstatic for a very long time. And so it was with great joy that I was able to play it just recently. And you can go watch my play sessions on the Brink channel. It will be in the description below if you want to see me play through it. So let's look at how the deck handles Dead Space. First up, I tried running it day one on the Steam Deck. It did not boot up properly. In fact, it wouldn't boot up for most people. Sometimes you'd have to try booting it up a couple of different times before it would work. So I waited on that and decided to play through the game on my main PC, which is a 3090 NVIDIA video card. It has 64 gigabytes of RAM, an i9 processor. It's got everything. And so it really handled it very well, where I didn't see any dips and very little bugs compared to something like the Callisto Protocol. And so I really enjoyed it on there, and I will have a review out on this game later, but this is an overview of how can you play this on the deck at the most optimal settings. So without further ado, let's get past everything. Yes, it plays great on my PC, but how does it play on the deck? First up, portable mode. I did see more dips when it was undocked than when it was docked, which did hurt my impression a little bit of the game at first. It could have also been just that there was a proton issue, and so when I first loaded it up, even after I got it to work, it would still lag kind of bad, almost like a Callisto Protocol when it first came out, kind of lag. But then the Proton team, they did it once again, like a day after they updated it, and then it ran much smoother, even undocked. The battery will drain really fast though. That is definitely one thing I noticed. If you have this game maxed out on what the deck can handle, it's like watching a countdown timer to your deck's demise, or at least, death of no battery or energy. It's still fun in this mode, and it is worth playing on the go with a battery pack, and that's the downside. You have to play with the battery pack. Now, before we get going on any further, I just want to let you know about today's sponsor, Deckmate. Just like Isaac Clarke's suit being fitted for him in the store, in the game. It's a weird thing. You walk into it, but there's no groceries on the side or anything like that. You just walk in, and the suit gets fitted to you. Without you walking in, I guess, to the Deckmate store, the Deckmate is the perfect fit for your mounting, standing, and creative needs for your Steam Deck. You can mount your deck wherever you want for a display. You can mount batteries onto the back, dongle dock hubs onto the back of it. You can do, the sky's the limit with the Deckmate, and that's one of the things I like about it, is that it allows you to be creative and do what you want with the deck. So I have a code for you today that can get you a free mount. So if you spend over $34 at deckmate.me, add whatever you want to it, and then as long as it's $34, you can then add a mount and get that mount for free if you enter the code GRFreeMount. And that deal is good for you for right now. It helps me also, so make sure to use that at checkout. If you just want 10%, you can also use the GR10 to just get 10% off. Docked mode. This is where I found my love for Dead Space on the Steam Deck. I was able to sit in my chair. I had my PlayStation 5 controller, and I was just able to sit there and enjoy a nice, crisp 30 to 40 frames per second experience. I would say it still had some dips, but it wasn't bad at all. And that 30 to 40 frames per second were on high settings. So honestly, it was great. And before I get into my recommended settings, like what I recommend for what playstyle you're going to want, I will say this. It even plays better than my GBD WinMax 2, which is a 6800U processor. That thing is a beast with a lot of other games, and it beats out the Steam Deck in a lot of games by about 20%. That is not the case today. I played it on the 6800U, and I would actually get about 20% less performance. It was still playable on it. It was still fine, but I was actually able to up my deck to a high settings and get better frame rates than the medium settings on the GBD WinMax 2. So I will have to say, Valve Proton did a great job with making sure that the API or the translation layer for whatever Dead Space is using works great. So let's get on to the recommendations on the settings that you should be using. I recommend playing Dead Space at 720 to 1080 at high in docked mode. It runs at a decent 30 to 40 frames per second with some dips, but shouldn't have much issues during combat. If you don't want to deal with settings, you can just set the resolution to 720 for higher FPS or 1080 if you're on a TV. Both of those settings work great. Now, if you're on the deck by itself, then you're gonna wanna set it to something around 720 that fits the 16:10 ratio. And then if you want better visuals, the 1080 on your TV, or the 720 if you just want to have the better frame rate, a little less dips, but it just won't look quite as crisp and nice. FSR is your friend here. So with that, the other two settings you wanna set is FSR to auto and the graphic preset to auto. Those are the two settings where if you just set them to auto, they seem to do a good enough job. You can get a little bit better performance or a little bit better visuals if you set it yourself, but I found that it did a good job and you just didn't have to think about it. So honestly, just kind of set those to auto and you should be good. Or you can use my preferred settings, which are visual settings, which is the 1080 at a balanced FSR and a high preset setting. It worked for me great, but if you do find yourself getting into areas that are starting to dip a little bit, you can always just bump that high preset setting down to a medium and you should be good to go to play throughout Dead Space. And so with that, I will just say, I think with these settings, you're gonna have a good old time in Dead Space. It's a great game. Even if you don't like horror games, if you like shooters or shooting objects, enemies, whatever it is, you still might like Dead Space. It has really good pacing, it has really good combat, and it has an evolving world on a spaceship that you can just honestly enjoy the whole ride through it, and it is quite the ride. With that, I hope you like the Dead Space remake, and I want to know below in the comments, are you excited that they're going to be making a second one? I mean, it sounds like there's some hidden goodies about the second one, and so I'm pretty sure they're going to make a Dead Space 2 remake. I mean, I think it'd be crazy for them not to, as I do think Dead Space is already beating out Callisto Protocol by like double. It's doing really well, and so I'm curious what you guys think in the comments. Is this a great game, and what do you like about it, and what don't you like about it? And with that, I will leave you with a bunch of goodies in the description below, including don't find yourself alone in space. You don't want to be Isaac Clarke at the end where he's floating. Wait, did I just ruin the ending? No, but you know, at one point he's always alone. You're almost always alone in the game, but you can always join our Discord server and not be alone anymore. You can come and have some good old conversations with us, talk about Dead Space, talk about some of your favorite games or the Steam Deck, because we are a big Steam Deck community. So thank you guys for watching. Check out my other videos and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out. Later.